a good choice.
One of the worst acting performances of all time. Oh, man.
It wasn't. Okay.
It's bad.
Episode 2 is rough because
Listen,
he's in it so much.
Everyone knows episode 3 is the best
No.
of all time.
No.
I
We
don't
don't
know
have
if
to get
everybody
into
knows
this.
that.
I think
I
everyone
don't know
should
if
know that.
anybody
It's
think so.
I agree. I do think episode 3 is the best, but you got
Hey, welcome to Simple Faith. Well, we are throwing you a curveball today. For the next 4 weeks, we are going to be having conversations with some guys on the Church 360 staff who lead our student ministry and are obsessed with movies and film. And what do they tell us about life and God and nature? And so I asked them, would you pick out your top 3 movies that deal with the nature of God? And we're going to discuss those in this particular episode. They have their own podcast called A Podcast About Movies. And so this is kind of a collaboration between their podcast and mine as we sit down to share the microphones and talk about the top 3 movies for each of us that explain the nature of God. So some of these you might like, some of these you may never want to see, but all of them provoke some thoughts about what it is to see God through the eyes of film. Here's my conversation with Drew Schroeder, with Luis Munoz, and Matt Harvey. Hey, welcome to Simple Faith, special edition today because we are having a crossover event, a collab, a merge, if you will, between the podcast Simple Faith and the podcast, A Podcast About Movies.
Yeah, that's the title.
sir.
That's
Yeah.
the title.
Yes, sir.
I am with the student ministry team here at Church 360, Matt Harvey, Luis Munoz, better known as Lou, and Drew Schroeder, who have their own podcast called A Podcast About Movies.
Yes.
How long did brainstorming last for that one?
Well, we
We
took
actually did have a lot of names.
we took inspiration from you, Rusty. Just simple faith. You know, we just wanted to be simple about it.
I appreciate that. Nice shout out. Okay. So we decided to put the podcast together because currently at Church 360, we are going through a series that many churches do called At the Movies, where we're using movies to talk about relevant issues, but also specifically themes of spirituality and faith and what the Bible has to say about those things. I heard a guy say one time, and he had written a book about faith and film, and he said that the point in the movie where you feel like you begin to cry or you begin to get angry or you have an emotional experience is really the intersection where God is doing something in your life currently at that time. And so there's some movies that you watch them and you have no kind of reaction to, and others that move you deeply, and you're kind of wondering why that is. And you might just say, well, it's the actor, or it's the writer, or it's the screenplay, or whatever it is. But it often is that God's doing something in your life, and there's something in these films that pulls that out. Now, do we endorse all these films? No. Do we recommend seeing all these films? It's not necessarily for everybody. But what we see in this are illustrations of the nature of God, the nature of sin, the nature of Jesus and our need for a Savior, and the nature of our need for community and loving one another. So we're going to cover that over 4 podcasts. So today, what I've asked my friends here to do is bring a list of 3 movies that remind us of the nature of God. And it may be our need for God. It may be necessarily the true, I don't know, what's the word I'm looking for? Not just nature, but the qualities of God and how that intersects with our lives. And so if you've listened to their podcast at all, you know there's a lot of screaming and yelling at each other. And
We're going to be calm today.
and anger. So we've asked them to calm down a little bit because we're a little bit of an older crowd, and see what they have to say about these films and see if they might strike a nerve for some of you. All right.
Yep.
So Drew, Lou, Matt, thank you so much for being with me today. We're going to jump right into this. On your podcast, you guys always cover, several movies of a particular theme, whether it's greatest films ever made. Maybe it's
Comfort movies.
comfort movies. Is that a new one? Okay. Greatest male actors of all time, performances, whatever.
Yeah.
Today, we're going to go with the nature of God. And so, Drew, we'll start with you. Give us one of your three,
Okay.
and we'll debate. We'll just go round the horn here.
Okay. So when I think of the nature of God, I think of a father. And so when I think of a father, I think of the movie Instant Family. Mark Wahlberg, I think this came out in 2019. But it's about him adopting 3 kids into his family. And when you talk about how movies touch a nerve, this movie touched a nerve. It made me want to adopt a kid. It made me want to just have this kind of family dynamic of just Mark Wahlberg seeking out the people and the families who feel like they are forgotten, who feel like they can't fit in any family, who see other families and feel like they can't belong. And so I just see God in that, the nature of adoption, him adopting us into an inheritance that we feel like we don't deserve. We do not deserve. And so him just being a good father. And so I see that in Instant Family.
Great movie.
Good take.
Yeah, I did not have that on my list, but I love that movie. And I think that movie probably caused a lot of foster kids to get adopted or to be at least fostered, which is a great thing. All right, Lou, you're up.
The one that I had is Good Will Hunting
Okay.
with Robin Williams and Matt Damon.
I recommend you watch that on TNT.
But the reason I say that is because the way that Robin Williams shows his mercy and like non-judgment, carefree zone when they're in those therapy talks. Even the part where he's talking about like, it's not your fault. Like, it's not your fault, Will. It's not your fault. Just showing the love and like the grace that God gives to us as well, of saying, hey, like, I have you. Like, you're good. Like I love you so much. Like, I'm not judging you right now, but instead I'm loving you in this kind of way.
Yeah, I love that take because you see this kid all through the movie who's got this incredible gift of intellect and math, but he won't use it because of how he has been sinned upon by his father or stepfather. I can't remember. And then you've got Robin Williams coming in to kind of clean that up, which was the nature of God. Definitely. That's a great take. Matt?
Okay, I got a good one.
Good preface.
Book of Eli with Denzel Washington.
Of course.
Okay.
So in this, you get this dystopian world where you just had a nuclear war. And so you get Denzel's character who happens to be blind. And you just see the protection of God on his life. And so you see God as a protector of his children. And so you just see him preserve him throughout the whole movie. And he's on this mission. And you see that like throughout, even in our lives as we're walking, like God protects you and he looks after you and looks after his own. And so, great movie.
You want to give away the ending?
I think I already did.
Okay.
Accidentally.
I mean, and the preservation of the word, too.
Yeah.
Of like how God's in that.
Yeah.
And so
That's really good. Great take. I have on my list a movie that we've actually done at the movies called The Impossible, which is a barely viewed movie.
I agree.
That's the one with Tom Holland in it, right? As a
Tom
little
Holland
kid.
as a kid. Yeah. Ewan McGregor is the lead, but real life story of the tsunami in Thailand, and the family gets separated during that time, and the dad recklessly and relentlessly pursuing to find his family. I just love that image because that's the image of God coming after us, especially as we see in Luke 15.
Yes.
Okay, Drew, next one.
Okay, I'm going to take this one, but The Lion King.
Okay.
It is definitively a borderline Christian movie, some would say. I feel like if people don't like The Lion King, we joke with them. We're like, are you even Christian? But it's an incredible story, just so simple, just about a father and a son and a kingdom and an inheritance, losing your way, which we can get into that in other episodes. but just the father figure of Mufasa, how he's with Simba even in death, how he's with him in the stars, how Simba looks to him as his hope, as the one who went before, everything like that. So just Mufasa and how he serves as a king, as a father who reigns, and as someone that we put our hope in and trust in. And so the Lion King.
I wanted to put that on my list, but I felt like it's duh, you know?
Yeah, duh.
But I don't know. You hit it on the head, bro. It's a great movie. And even when you're running away and you forget like who you are, and that part where he's looking in the water and he sees his father. And so like, again, going back to like, no, like our father's living, Jesus is within us. And so, yeah.
And his father tells him his plan.
Yeah.
You are to go home.
Yeah.
And step into what is yours, you know? So.
Yeah. And it's the voice of James Earl Jones. So
yeah,
you know it's good.
Chills.
Yeah. Even though he's also Darth Vader. All right, Lou.
A movie for me, pretty much it is a Christian movie. C.S. Lewis wrote the book, Narnia, The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe.
Okay.
Just the whole theme of everything that goes on in this story, including the part, like the main part of like Aslan reflecting Jesus, Aslan dying on that thing, on that stone, and then him resurrecting pretty much, and then coming back and saving Narnia, really. And this is the same thing with Jesus, like him coming down, dying on a cross for us and saving us, really.
Yeah, I love that. I loved that movie. I know they're going to redo them, and I hope they stay true to the book. But great book, great movie. And the scene that always gives me chills is when, I don't know, is it the beaver or the otter or somebody's talking and he says, Aslan's on the move? You know, it just, that excitement that he's doing something here, you know. And then when whatever the oldest kid's name is, you know, raises his sword and he says, for Aslan and for Narnia.
Yeah.
That's just awesome. Yeah. Good take. Matt?
Pursuit of Happiness with Will Smith.
Pre-slap.
Pre-slap. For sure. And with him, there's two movies you could have gone with. You could have gone with Collateral Beauty or Pursuit of Happiness, but I'm going to go with Pursuit of Happiness. And this one, you see the pursuit of him providing as a father and just this, you know, he's doing whatever it takes to look after his son and to make sure his son has whatever he needs. And I think for us I'll speak for myself as a kid, no matter what things that we've gone through, like I went through Katrina and more things, but I never worried about when the lights were going to get cut on or where my next meal was going to come from, because my parents were doing everything they can to look after us and to protect us and make sure we have everything that we need. And so God is Jehovah Jireh, our provider. And so like you even see like that characteristic of like, you know, like he's going to take care of us. He's going to provide for us and all of that. And so
that's really good.
Yeah. It's a great movie.
I think this Will Smith movie, while we're on it, that I think of when it comes to the nature of sin, didn't make my list until you just said that one. I thought about this movie. Did you guys ever see 7 Pounds?
Yes. Yeah.
I haven't seen it.
Yeah.
It's such incredible. A crazy idea.
It's incredible.
But basically, and I won't give away all the ending and everything, but he is texting while driving, has a car accident, kills somebody. And so the rest of the movie is his plan to make up for that. And so you see kind of the devastation of sin on your life, of you feeling like you've got to make up for it on your own, which the beauty of God is he does that for us. So I won't spoil the ending, but a lesser seen movie of his, although most recently I think most of them are lesser seen, but it was pretty good.
Yeah.
Okay, for me, this is a combo, and I know you guys do this sometimes, so I'm going to go with the Bruce and Evan Almighty duo, just because of Morgan Freeman, his depiction of God, and you would think that Hollywood would have really botched this, and obviously there's some things that aren't necessarily the biblical view of God, but there are some concepts that are really strong. For instance, the moment when, you know, I believe it's Bruce is praying and he's talking to God and trying to figure out how that God answers all these prayers, and he talks about So when somebody prays for patience, do you give them patience or do you give them something to be patient about?
Yeah, that's the. So I actually showed my middle schoolers that that clip of it's Morgan Freeman talking to Evan Almighty's wife in the
in the diner or
scene,
whatever. Yeah.
And she has like this fish and fries, and he's like, "Does God give you patience, or does God give you a time to be patient?"
Yes.
Like in a time to be patient, and then after the whole scene's done, her her fries are full and her fish are full, reflecting like feeding of the 5,000.
Yeah. No, I for sure
That's
use that
right.
in sermons. I've used that
Those
in
fries
sermons
look
for sure.
good too.
No, they did. They
Rusty,
did.
can you quote Evan Almighty?
Like the whole thing?
I'm thinking of the dance. You remember?
No. Oh, that's right. He was doing the dance after the bill and all that.
Yeah.
My favorite scene from Bruce Almighty is when he's like in the newsroom, just like
Oh,
like
yes.
that kind of scene.
Yes, preparing to speak.
Yeah.
Which one's
Yeah.
better, y'all? I think Evan. I like
Evan.
Evan better.
I go with Evan.
I do
Just
too.
Almighty.
I like that.
I
I like
watched it
Steve
more.
Carell in that role better than Jim Carrey, but good couple movies. Okay, Drew, number 3.
Is this our last one?
This is it.
Okay.
Then we'll do honorable mentions if you got extras.
I do have an extra, but I might be reaching with this one, but I'm gonna go Avatar, 1 and 2 maybe.
Wow.
But they have a God figure in their world,
Awa.
Awa,
Yeah.
which Matt
Backward.
told me this.
Yeah.
It is Yahweh backwards. And so, I mean, God is represented in this movie, his nature. And I think that in the second one, like the first one ends with Jake, the main character, having Awa like live within him. And then the second one, you kind of see how he becomes a better father. And so like Jake would not be able to do what he's able to do without, their God Awa guiding him, protecting him, going through it. And so like, I think of Old Testament characters of just their reliance on God, no matter what they're about to face, whether it's Gideon, whether it's a big battle, but their reliance on Yahweh, before they go into whatever they're going into. So
That's a good one. Great call. You guys agree?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I'll go in for that one.
All right. Lou?
Mine, speaking of Sam Worthington, The Shack.
Okay. I
Yeah.
had that on my list.
Yeah, with his like grief, like he loses his daughter, and like he goes to this shack where he's in the presence of God, and then like I think of the story of Job where he loses everything, and God is just saying, "Hey, I'm here with you. Just know that." And we look back at Psalms where it says, "The Lord is near to the brokenhearted."
Yeah.
So. Like in this movie, like it's not about God's giving him answers. It's more of like I just want a relationship with you in your brokenness, really.
And you get to see kind of the 3 aspects of the Trinity through all
Yeah.
that, which obviously comes from the best-selling book, which was a little controversial because people weren't sure what to do with their images of the Trinity, but it was still a great book and a great movie.
Yeah.
I agree.
Matt?
Okay. Return of the Jedi, Star Wars. And I hate to pull this one out, but I'll say this. A lot of people like to make the comparison of the Holy Spirit and the Force. I'm not going to do that.
Okay.
But I will say that you can always come back to the Father at the end of the day. And like you see Darth Vader does some of the most atrocious stuff. He destroys planets, families. I mean, he massacres people. But in the end, you see him come back
To the Son.
Exactly. And so you could get to the very end and still turn around. It doesn't matter what you've done. All that's on your sheet that you've done. Like you could always come back. And so I don't know.
And the movie ends with him appearing as a Force ghost,
Yeah.
Anakin, and so like
Yeah.
him being with his people again,
Yeah.
in the light side of the Force.
Yeah.
So it's a good one.
Yeah.
Wow.
Had to bring it.
And they redid it so they could put Hayden Christensen in there, right?
Yeah, yeah.
In the blue, which
Yeah.
was
Good choice.
one of the worst acting performances of all time. Oh, man.
It wasn't okay. Yeah.
It's bad.
Episode 2 is rough because
Listen,
he's in it so much.
Everyone
Yes.
knows episode 3 is the best.
No.
Of all time.
No.
I don't know if everybody knows that.
I think
know
everyone
if
should know
anybody-
that.
It's
Think so.
I agree. I do think episode 3 is the best, but you could argue Empire Strikes Back or that one.
I don't
If
care.
you want to
can-
hear our takes on Star Wars, check out a podcast about movies.
That's right.
Oh my
You know, the
we
episode-
just did that.
Yeah.
The first trilogy, 4, 5, and 6, builds the best case that the second one was better than the other two. A lot of people want to say Empire Strikes Back is the best of all 9 of them. I still go
I'm
with
up there.
Return of the Jedi. I still think that's the
Where it closes the chapter.
It's a bold
closes
take.
it down.
Yeah.
And I mean, you got the Ewoks in there.
Yeah.
You got Yoda. And obviously Yoda's an Empire, but it's just, I don't know. That's the one that was
Yoda
awesome
dies
for
in
me.
that one, though.
It's beautiful. It's just a beautiful,
Okay.
transcendent moment.
Yeah.
Okay. For me, I got to go with Les Mis.
Wow. Okay.
And I would say not the one where Wolverine sings, but rather the previous one.
That's the best one.
No, because you got Russell Crowe and he can't sing at all.
You've hungered for this all your life. Take your revenge.
So,
But it's Russell Crowe.
okay, but still, Gladiator can't sing.
Calm down, man.
I would go with the Liam Neeson one because there's no singing; it's just acting.
I didn't know there was another one.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's really good.
Yeah.
And it's Liam Neeson.
How old is that one?
It's a little older.
It came out in the 80s, I think.
No, not the 80s.
80s.
I thought it came out
I
in
watched it on
98,
DVD.
98.
Okay, so there you go. 98. It almost makes the 2000 cut.
Uma Thurman.
Yeah, I mean, the most recent one obviously was nominated for stuff, but it is one song. The whole movie is just one song. It goes from one song to the next. And some of them can sing and some cannot.
Yeah,
So
that's true.
it's rough. But the story, and obviously there's the book by Victor Hugo and the play and all of that. But the story is Jean Valjean is caught stealing and somebody gives him grace and it changes the trajectory of his life. And so
Yeah.
I'm picking up on that theme through
It's a pope, right? That gives him grace, or
a priest.
a priest. Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah. So I think you've got a strong theme of grace is what we're all talking about in all of our movies about the nature of God. Okay. Honorable mentions. Anything you all want to throw in there?
I thought of this while we were waiting, but Up. Okay.
Okay. I've got that on a different list.
And the fact of God being in, I don't know how, this song's controversial, but the reckless love of God. Like, Carl, when his wife died, he was so reckless about his mission that he did anything to get that house on the Paradise Falls.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I just think of that and like how he didn't stop. But he also wanted to give up, and he had community come in with them to finish that. I don't know. Am I reaching? Maybe
I
I'm
think that-
reaching.
I mean, you say some interesting things, Drew. I think that it falls better on another list, but
Okay.
man, the first 5 minutes of that movie just wrecks you.
Yes.
I remember sitting in the theater with our family and Lori and I are just bawling.
He's come home to be watching it on the couch, and
Did he turn around? He'd have tears in his eyes.
He's cried during it. I haven't cried during it. Have you cried during it?
Yes, of course. Well,
okay.
Luis
You
just
have no
doesn't
soul.
have. Yeah,
probably.
He just doesn't have a heart.
My honorable mention was maybe I'm reaching with this one, Interstellar.
Luis just
Oh
loves this
my
movie.
goodness.
He just wants his
Well,
movies to
It's on every list for you.
Yes, you're right. It is on every list. But I think I say it because like Cooper leaves for a greater purpose and his kids don't understand it. And like maybe we don't understand what God does sometimes for us.
Okay, I'll buy that.
And then you have Cooper's sacrifice as well. You have the sacrifice, like, I don't know. Maybe I'm reaching with that
Well,
one.
and don't you have the moment at the end where his daughter says, "My dad always comes back," or something like that?
And then
So
you
that-
have the love transcends space and time, which God's
Okay.
love transcends space and time. So,
Okay.
yeah.
Not my favorite
Okay.
of Nolan's work, but that's a good pull. All right.
What's your favorite?
Oh. What's the movie I took you all to?
Inception.
Inception, yeah.
This
Exactly.
is my lead pastor, man.
Exactly.
My honorable mention: Finding Nemo.
Oh,
Finding Nemo.
Wow, how did we miss
And
that?
That's a good one.
The reason I'll say it is I remember my youth pastor as a kid. He actually made a connection to this movie, and it always stuck with me. And so just talking about how there's nothing that the father wouldn't do to go get his son. And so, again, it's just one of those movies where you just see that there's a whole ocean and he finds his son. And so it's a cool movie.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's a good one. I don't know how we missed that one, but that's an epic father after the son. The couple I had that we have not talked about was the movie Lion. If you remember that, about the brother that goes looking for his brother, and it's a pretty powerful film. But also, and we haven't mentioned this yet, but I'm sure it'll come up on somebody's list for another list, The Matrix.
It's a trap!
You're laughing.
So the thing is, me and Drew have never seen The Matrix yet.
What?
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
It was going to be on another list for me.
Okay.
But
It could make it on most lists.
Rusty,
absolutely.
You're not getting through a conversation about movies with Matt without him bringing up The Matrix.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
I mean,
So like how I bring up
it's
Interstellar a
pretty
lot, he
epic.
brings up Matrix a lot.
Okay.
The Matrix was ahead
and
of
he
his
has
time.
that little smile.
It was. Like you know something we don't.
I'm just waiting for them to be great and watch it, but maybe one day.
Okay.
That should be required viewing. At least the first one. The other two get a little
I'll let you
complicated.
to argue, yeah.
But the first one was, man, that's epic. That's our story. That's what is so fascinating about all these films we talked about. And obviously many of the Avenger movies, many of the superhero movies, is it comes back to our story.
Yes.
Which is we're in desperate need and somebody has to save us. Nature of God. It's hardwired into us. All right. Well, that concludes this episode of the crossover event
Yes.
with a movie about podcast. I'm sorry, a podcast about movies.
Oh man.
Yeah. You should have
That's a
thought
good
about that
idea,
one.
Rusty.
Yeah.
Huh?
And then Simple Faith. So, well, appreciate you listening, and would love to hear your favorite movies that depict the nature of God. You can hit us up on social media. That would be awesome. And for all things Simple Faith, subscribe to Simple Faith. Subscribe to A Movie About Podcasts, so you can hear their takes.
Wrong
And-
name again, Rusty. That's okay.
Do I keep saying A Movie About Podcasts?
It's all good.
It's early. Subscribe to a podcast about movies.
Oh, gosh.
Man, I should really do this thing alone. Anyway, thanks for listening, and we'll be back next week with a podcast about films that teach us about the nature of sin. So join us for that, and as always, keep it simple. Well, thank you to the boys from a podcast about movies. And they'll be back next week as we get into films that depict the nature of sin. You're not going to want to miss that one. That's episode 2 in this 4-part series. Can't wait to have that conversation with them and with you. See you next week. And as always, keep it simple.